Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Acupuncture is My Life. Now, in this episode, I want to discuss ways in which both your mind and your body respond to stress. You see, stress over the years, and I'm speaking of many years, I'm talking about, let's say, even centuries. Okay, and understand when I say centuries, I mean, even though we labored more, it was for the better of us and we respected time, whereas we knew when it was time to stop, to sleep, rest, eat, and so forth. Whereas now, people don't understand how stressed they are, and they don't realize like they're eating dinner at midnight, 1 a.m. because they were so busy either working 2 shifts or 2 jobs or even 3 jobs. And that's a very stressful thing. And then you have those that are in college and they have huge exams coming up, or single parents who have children with a serious illness, or just anyone experiencing financial trouble, whether big or small. It can cause stress and worry, which negatively, to an acupuncturist, we fully understand, it negatively affects the liver, the spleen, and your kidneys. That's not good. And I see patients going through this and deficiency patterns arising in those 3 meridians as a result of stress. And when I say those 3 meridians, I'm speaking of the liver meridian, the kidney meridian, as well as the spleen meridian. And after a consultation, they're shocked as to how stress can affect these internal organs and the meridians then which it's tied to. But I want you to understand something. It's good to experience a little stress in our life. Some stress. It's inevitable. And it's meant to be temporary. But you don't want it to stick around for too long. Okay? Because you have to keep in mind, short-term stress can sometimes be a good thing. Why? Because it causes us as individuals to take decisive actions to improve our circumstances. But it's the long-term stress that tends to take a toll on the body. And, everyone reacts differently to stress. Most, it'll negatively impact liver qi, causing it to stagnate. And when the qi of your liver stagnates, it creates a myriad of other problems. Sometimes it may or may not affect the spleen. It may or may not affect the kidneys. It can affect your stomach. Okay? I mean, it could definitely affect the brain, your mind, causing bouts of even anxiety. Whereas anxiety is a common reaction to stress. And it doesn't matter if the particular stressor is like meeting that woman you've connected with on a dating app for the first time. It's a form of anxiety. All the way up to a major job loss where your entire family was depending on you and now you lose your job. And experiencing anxiety can be normal, but then it can get out of hand and begin to affect you in a negative sense. Okay, and stress can also cause depression. usually as a result of experiencing something major that tends to be beyond your control. For instance, the loss of a loved one, whether it's your spouse or a family member. And this experience, when you experience this form of depression, the loss of a loved one is usually the stressor. And you can fall into this like victim mentality or struggle with accepting reality as it confronts you. And as a result of that, you'll find yourself gradually going deeper and deeper into sadness until it affects your entire life. And many individuals don't understand that depression can be a serious mental illness that requires professional treatment. And if you're ever feeling anxious or depressed, make sure you see an acupuncturist. Make sure you make acupuncture a part of your life. Now, another is increased positivity. Sometimes stress can be positive because an emotionally stable person, they tend to respond to stress by increasing their focus, like really getting focused and searching for solutions to the root of the problem. They tend to approach stress like a crossword puzzle. It has to be solved. They tend to remain positive and focus on how to remedy that particular stressful event. And you usually get this in short-term stressors. But then you have those individuals that train themselves to remain positive and become action-based whenever a stressful circumstance presents itself. Addiction can also play a part. Because now when I say addiction, you have people that will turn to alcohol and cigarettes to relieve their stressful situation. They use cigarettes or alcohol as an aid, as a means of coping. But you see, cigarettes and alcohol is highly addictive. And I've even seen patients myself administer a certain protocol called the NADA protocol to break these addictions. Get to the root of their problem. Because acupuncturists don't treat the branch, which is the symptom. We treat the root, which is the cause. That's what makes acupuncture so awesome. And that was discussed in a newsletter, an Acupuncture's My Life newsletter, not that long ago. And I do recommend you subscribe to Acupuncture's My Life newsletter by going to acupuncturesmylife.com. And at the pop-up, just pop in your email address. We have a weekly newsletter that's very informative as to how you can benefit from acupuncture. And if at any time you ever need to schedule a virtual consultation session with us here at Acupuncture's My Life, go to acupuncturesmylife.com again and click on the virtual consultation tab and schedule a virtual consultation session with us to discuss any case or anything that's bothering you, and to learn how you can benefit from acupuncture pertaining to your case. But addiction is a huge factor. Aggression also, because some individuals react to stress with aggression. And more times than not, it ends up bad. Now, if we say aggression as far as hitting a punching bag or lifting some hardcore weights and just taking it out that way, that can actually be beneficial. But the aggression I'm talking about is when individuals blame others for a stressful event. Or they just don't know how to process a stressful experience without anger. Have you ever met anyone like that? I'm sure many of you have. And if you have, recommend that they see an acupuncturist, because we understand that health is wealth. We know that the wealth is not in your pocket, your purse, or your wallet. And we also know that the wealth is not in any form of bank account, or under your mattress, or in the shoebox in the closet. We understand that the wealth is in you. Now, another way in which, the mind and body react to stress is insomnia. And I get this a lot with tons of patients, and they benefit well from acupuncture. Because just as in this case, we know in the insomnia in which they're faced with is, it doesn't follow what they say as to, doc, I just can't fall asleep. I don't know why. An acupuncturist can figure out the root cause, in this case being stress. Because stress has a huge impact on your brain. And it can be difficult to switch it off at night, whereby you'll have difficulty falling asleep, even with the lights off, even if the place is quiet, because stress can play a part in your thoughts or be the main factor of your thoughts spiraling out of control, much worse than it did during the day. Again, which is why it's important to make acupuncture a part of your life. And what would follow that is the inability to stay awake. And believe it or not, there are those that experience the opposite of insomnia, because their brains are like working like double time, triple time, due to all of the stress and the tension, that they can have trouble staying awake, especially during the day. This is why I say to you sometimes, you know what? If you're lifting something heavy right now at the gym, rest it down. Whether you're at work, pause. If you're at home moving furniture, just stop for a second. If you're operating some form of vehicle that has wings or propellers, land it at your nearest airport. If it has wheels, just pull over to the side of the road. And if you're crossing the street, hurry up and safely get across the street. Why? Because I need you to close your eyes right now. And I need you to say to yourself, acupuncture is my life. And now open it. Boom. You are now brand new, and brand new you are. But you want to know something? Another sign can be withdrawal. Because a person's confidence, their self-esteem tends to take a hit when they're under a great deal of stress for an extended period of time. Okay? And they feel it, their ability to cope, they no longer believe, rather, in their ability to cope with social situations. And that's when they begin to shut down and isolate themselves. Another, which is quite common, is headaches. Individuals under a great deal of stress get the worst headaches, because your brain is always on high alert when you're experiencing stress, which tends to lead to tension, then eventually headaches and migraines. You see acupuncturists see these signs all the time, more than you can imagine. But another one is muscle aches. When you're hit with stress, your muscles tend to tense up. And muscle tension is usually a reaction to stress because it's your body's defense against injury. Now, when it comes to chronic stress, your muscles remain tensed and then begin to degrade or knot up over a period of time, causing pain and decreased range of motion. There is no reason why you should not be seeing an acupuncturist. And also bodily damage. Because almost any part of your body can be adversely affected by stress. Whether it's internal, like I spoke of earlier, your liver, stomach, spleen, kidneys, or it's external. Stress can affect your vision, your ability to breathe normally. It can affect your nervous system, your heart, reproductive. Okay? And it can even have irreversible effects on your body that can sometimes become fatal. Now that should concern you. And at that point, you should now be thinking about making acupuncture part of your life. Because acupuncture is my life. What's yours?